Hey everybody! Woo! We're a little bit early, so I just thought I would share a couple of things with you. Just blah blah blah, right? Couple things. First thing is I get asked a lot about using. These are the Kiwi Lane template pockets, right? So these are designed to fit your Kiwi Lane templates. And you can see I'm holding them up here, and they are not loaded with Kiwi Lane templates. They are loaded with scraps. And this is a common question. Can I use my the Kiwi Lane templates for scraps? And you absolutely can. I'll tell you where people find these the most valuable. If you keep scraps with next to your Gemini or your your Grand Caliber, your Spellbinders cutter, that is why people love these, because they're small and compact, and they can go right with that stuff. You can even put them in the boxes, the Kiwi Lane boxes that they fit in. I'll have Karen get up a link to those as well. The only downside to them is that they're only 6 inches tall. So 12 by 6 scraps are going to fit fine. And then, of course, different sizes, right? They're all right there. So that kind of limits it. But this also came to my attention this week. Some people like to just slide them into their paper storage boxes. So if this was your brown or neutrals paper storage box, they just slide them in the front, and then the papers are behind, and then they just have, 6 by 12 borders, whatever. So if you're looking for another scrap solution and you like this idea, could be a perfect match for you. They also fit in the DSST, the Desk Made Die Stamp and Supply Organizer. So if you want to fill that box with a file of scraps, and keep it next to your cutting machine, I think that is the more common use for those people who want to keep scraps next to their cutting machine. And you already know, of course, that I'm a big advocate of keeping your scraps right with your paper. But again, how you craft, where you craft, who you craft with, all those things come into play in that. We have a few more minutes. What time is it, Max?
9:57.
So I'm just blah, blah, blah. I wanted to share something with you that I have been having so much fun with lately. So people always ask me about, what I like to do as far as a crafter. Well, obviously I love scrapbooking, but I also am a planner junkie. And then I have to, I guess, the thing that I do the most is probably make thank you cards. I do a lot of thank you cards, but I'm a planner junkie. So I just finished laying out my November pages. We get Max to do a little zoom in there. So when you look at planner pages, let me go to here. The thing that I don't like about planner pages, I'm going to go to a blank one, right? They're not very exciting, right? When you buy your planner, which is fine. But then all the planner things that they sell, they don't match. They don't match each other. They don't match the size. They don't match the embellishments. They don't match the markers. So I started creating my own pages using all my scrapbooking supplies. So I'm going to just share with you quickly my November pages. This is what you get for tuning in early, right? I just get to talk about whatever I want while we're testing technology. So are you zooming, Max?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the first page, and then I put the colored boxes in just to give it some pop, right? It's so much more interesting when you turn to that page, and there's a lot of times the planners have words and stuff on them that are words that I am not going to use. So I like to cover those words up and add my own words or whatever. And then so you can see I just have a sticky note right here. Until I'm really ready to plan that week, I use sticky notes everywhere in case I'm going to change a schedule or I want it to look neat or whatever. So this is week number 2, and this was so much fun doing this. I love fall colors, right? I love the whole idea of fall and the leaves and the change of seasons. And this is sort of like a visual pumpkin spice latte for me. That's kind of what I felt like when I was doing this. My son is laughing at me. He doesn't think that's very funny. I mean, very nice, but I do. Okay, and so then the last page of November. And then I also add these little tabs at the edge of each page, right? So just, I don't know, I did them at the top for this month, and I'm doing them on the side for this month. And then here's my little Thanksgiving week page. And you know what I didn't do? I just realized this is Black Friday, right? Which is a big deal. And I didn't do anything special there, so I'm probably going to revamp that. Anyway, super fun, just using up my scrapbooking supplies and being crafty and having a good time. I get asked a lot what type of planner I use. Obviously, I'm using a disc style planner. Oh, look at this cute sticker. Oh, and I got another doggy sticker right here too. All right. That's it. See, this is what happens when I just have a few minutes. I just blah, 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 blah. If you're not a planner junkie yet, I would strongly encourage you to become one because it is a super fun way to be a little bit crafty all the time. Does that mean it's time, Max?
Yep.
All right. It's time. That's my prep. That's what I do before the camera comes on, you guys. Hey everybody, welcome to Get Organized Challenge number 6. Is this 6 or is this 7? I think it's 7 actually, right? Yeah, 7. We're going to color your world. We're going to talk today about organizing everything that you work with that adds color to your page and how to go about doing that. And when we talk, I guess not things like embellishments, but pens and markers, chalks, inks, paints, all of that kind of thing. How do you keep track of it? How do you know what you have? How do you find those goodies? And really, we're just going to apply sort of the same strategies that we've talked about all the way through the Get Organized Challenge and sort of about getting your brain around organizing those colors. Let us start with winners, though. Woo! So first winner is Bonnie Speed Madsen. Oh, I should backtrack for those of you who are new, people who are just jumping in on this challenge. If you have questions, type the word question in all caps and Karen will keep her eyes out for that and try to answer it. If she can't answer it for some reason, she'll bring those questions up at the very end of the presentation and we'll answer questions for you. If you are new, you probably want to join our Facebook group, the Get Organized Challenge group. You can post your progress posts in there and get in the weekly drawing. You can also submit your progress post via email to get in the weekly drawing as well. Okay, I think that's all my housekeeping things. Okay, congratulations to Bonnie Speed Madsen, her progress report. Finally have finished. I think my photo organization, scanned in 1999 to 2004 photos and organized them. Yay! Also got a nice bit of nostalgia looking at pictures of when my kids were little. I know that's kind of the hard part about organizing photos is that you just get sucked into all those old memories, all that fun stuff. Also combined all digital pictures for 2005, present in one central place on the computer and a backup on an external drive, have all the printed photos in photo containers and labeled. Way to go, Bonnie. And then she goes on about her other, I think this is a Facebook post. So that's one of the nice things about being in the group. You can read the full winning post. So I'm not going to read the whole post to you. Now my question is, I have been so unorganized and busy with life that I haven't done anything in such a long time. Don't know where to begin. What year, occasion? Now my question is, I have been so unorganized and busy with life that I haven't done anything in such a long time. Don't know where to begin. What year? Oh, don't know where to begin with scrapbooking. Here's my advice. I think I told you, you guys at the beginning, when I first started in the scrapbooking business, I used to write for magazines like Creating Keepsakes and Memory Makers and those people. And one of the first articles I wrote was called Scrap Traps, and it was about why all the things that kept me from scrapbooking. And one of them was I felt like I had to scrapbook in a lineal way, right? I had to work with the oldest pictures until I got to the newest ones, and that wasn't that fun because a lot of times you were excited about something new. So my advice to you, Bonnie Speed Madsen, is pick something that you're really excited about scrapbooking and start there. Just start where you're happiest. That's what I think. That's what I do. Second winner is Deborah Whitmer. She said, I've been dreading this part of the challenge because this is always where I get stuck. I spent the first couple of days watching the class video over and over. By day 3, the delaying tactic became trying to figure out how and where dies are going to be stored. After trying out several options with things I already had, I still wasn't satisfied. By Friday night, I had given up. Saturday, I moved on to embossing folders. By the end of Sunday evening, I had cataloged and put away the same 23 folders 4 times. Deborah, heavy sigh. I did finally find something that will work, and I stopped fighting the idea of making a 12 by 12 catalog. at least for embossing folder dies and stamps and colors. Oh dear, I always get stuck on colors too. Heavy sigh. This is really important though. I don't know about anyone else, but I get so stuck on doing it the right way. I go back and forth on storage options mainly. For example, I did get almost all my ribbon organized, but now my scrap rack is stuffed full. I realize I need to take out the really thick stuff and store some things separately, and that means adding samples to my color catalog pages and another storage solution. I do like all the guidance on the TT site, and I'm trying different sizes of buddy bags and other types. Here's the most important thing about this. A lot of people get stuck and overwhelmed in the tool storage thing and making the tool catalog. And you have to remember two things. You don't have to do it all at once, right? Do a little bit, follow the plan of making the catalog, use your storage containers that you have, label them, label your catalog, and just work through a little bit at a time, because you will reap the benefits right away of the catalog. People get a stomachache about the catalog. They get overwhelmed about the catalog. But you just have to do it. And remember this also. Perfect is the enemy of good, right? You need a good system. You need good access. It doesn't need to be perfect. It does not need to be perfect. It needs to be good. You need to know what embossing folders you have and where to find them. And it doesn't have to be pretty. That's one of the reasons you're going to see in my color catalog today that's one of the reasons that I show the catalogs that aren't perfect, everything's not all in nice, neat little boxes. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be good. Keep that in mind. You're going to keep that in mind with the color catalog also that we're talking about today. And you can always start with whatever organization container tool that you're using. And when you start your catalog, and see how that works out for you, because you can move catalog items and renumber something if you need to. But the most important thing is to get started, start slow, and just work through small things. And don't let yourself overthink it, right? I have that rule at the very beginning about reading people's themes and sentiments lists. It sounds like I might need to have a rule about how many times you can watch the class video as well, right, to get started. So don't overthink it. Don't stress out on it. Start small, start right away, and you will get it done, but you'll reap the benefits right away of that catalog. The very next time you work on a project, you may be able to go through that catalog and find what you're looking for fast and easy. So it's definitely worth the wait, worth the work. Okay, I want to share a little tip with you from Jenny H. We've shared this before, and I've talked a little bit about it earlier. And that is setting up a station or a little area, a box, a drawer, whatever it is, with everything you need to add to catalog. So we're cataloging our tools. We're going to talk about cataloging color today. And if you have a little station ready to go, whether that's scrap paper or whether that's color catalog sheets or catalog sheets for your tools catalog, if it's all ready to go, then the next time you bring something new into the house, it makes it easy to add to that catalog. You're far more likely to actually do it. So I know you probably get tired of hearing me say it. If it's easy, it gets done. And if it's difficult, it ends up in a pile, right? So make it easy on yourself. Set up a cataloging station where you have everything you need to catalog whatever's coming into your craft room. All right, so let's talk specifically about colors, which is what we're doing here today. And the big challenge with colors is they come in so many different sizes and shapes, right? So there's all the different inks, ink pads, paints, glitter glues, glitter, pearls, embellishment paste, or all of these things. How do you keep track of those, what you have, and where to find it? And that's kind of our goal today, is to be able to find all those things that you have, right? So the first thing you have to do is figure out how you're going to store them, what type of storage tool is going to work best for you, and where you're going to put that storage tool. So by this point in the challenge, we've asked this question a lot. What kind of crafter are you? What's going to work best? Are you using buddy bags? Are you using fab files? Do you have some other sort of drawer system or shelf system that you've got that's going to work well for storing all of the things that create color in your projects? And there's so many options, right? There's all the stuff that we make, but there's also lots of other things. One thing that's, I think, especially when you're working at home all the time, is less lids and more access. So if you are using some type of container with a lid, where you have to stack those containers on top of each other, and then you have to pull it out and open the lid, if you can figure out a way not to stack them, maybe add a few more shelves to your shelving units so that you can just slide them in and out, or something like that, that's going to make it a lot easier. So less things to open is going to make it a lot more convenient, and then you're going to use more of them. If you are what we call a got a little, which most of us are not, which is why we're here, then you are probably just going to store all of your things together by color. So it's easy access if you're looking for something blue or looking for something green, which is conveniently the example that I have here. So this is my blue and green collection, and it has everything in it from Nuvo dots to markers to ink pads, right? So if you're got a little, oh, Max is saying, don't dump it out. If you're got a little, putting all of those things together, so if you're working on a page where you need green Nuvo dots and a green marker and green blink, it's all in one place. That's a great way to keep all of those things together that you might be using. Not the common thing, because most of us taking the challenge are not got a littles. But if you are somebody who has a little, I'm just going to encourage you to put those things together by color in some sort of storage system that you can pull those colors out and bring them to the table and work with them and put them away, right? For the vast majority of us, we have a lot more different brands, different things, and we need to catalog those colors so we know what we have and we actually know what colors they are. So the first step in that process is to gather all of those things together and try to group them by actual manufacturer. That isn't something that I would regularly suggest, right? I mean, I don't suggest it for paper or for embellishments or washi tape or any of those things. But the unique thing about inks, chalks, pens, markers is the size, shape, and dimension. And it's going to be easier to store things together that are all the size, shape, and dimension. So grouping them together by brand is a good way to start with that. Then once you've got them all, you've got all of those things together, then you're going to decide, and this is kind of, I think I've kind of, in your handout, I might have these printed out backwards, because when I initially did this, I did it in different steps. But I think the most important thing to do is once you got all those things together, then put them in whatever storage container you've got. So if you are using something like this is the 6-level Stadium Arranger, and I just put all of those things in there, then I'm going to be able to label them and create the catalog. So gather them together, then choose your storage containers and fill the storage containers, which is the same thing that we talked about doing with dies, stamps last week, right? The same mental process is, how am I going to label these things on my catalog without knowing where they're going to end up? So put them in that container first, and then go through and label all of them. And you can label them, you can either give them a number, or you can give them a name, and then you're going to create catalogs of those things. So there's a bunch of different ways to create catalogs. If you are a particular brand junkie, you may want to download the charts that those brands provide. So this is a Copic chart. What is this? Memento ink, right? And Karen has been adding, as we get access to these, or as people send them to us, the links to them, we've been adding them to the Get Organized Challenge page for this class on the website. So when you get your follow-up today, there'll be a link to that page. And at the bottom of the page, I think it's below the video. Karen can correct me if I'm wrong there. Below the video are all the links to all the different brands of charts that we have found thus far. So this is a great way to track things by brand if that's important to you. And different people, it's important to different people for different reasons, but it also lets you know what you own in that particular brand as well, right? So as you get those particular brands filled out, you can fill in whatever colors you own. And then when you're buying new colors, you know exactly what colors you already own and what you need, right? So that's sort of the value of using the manufacturer chart to keep those things organized. Okay, so once you got them all into your storage containers, then you're going to use, well, I hope you choose to use the Pika-Hue color charts. Now, I do have my original color catalog here to kind of show you, which is, right? So you can start with just 12 by 12 pages if you don't want to use the Pikahu color charts, and just go in rainbow order. I skipped a page there. And this is the same process, right, that we've used for cataloging other things. So here's an example of all the colors, and I just wrote the pen name or the pen color right there. So I'm testing that pen. I know what color it is, and it tells me where to go to find that pen or that paint or that whatever it is, right? So this was my original catalog, not very neat and tidy, but it gave me a lot of space to add things, and you could see a lot of colors together. And then we came out with what we call the Pikahu color charts. So, and there's downloads for these. They're just free. There's Excel documents that we made that are going to allow you to put your markers, your pens, your stickles, all of those things by color and indicate what the name is and what the location is for each of those things. Now, all of them are designed, you can see, to fold in half and punch a hole in them. Okay, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to fold it in half and punch a hole in it? Because, get back to my scrap envelope here. If you're trying to match something up, the color, you want to match the color, you want to match the glitter glue, whatever, you can put that paper right behind where you've punched out the hole, and now you can see how well that is going to match, right? So you're not guessing at, is this brown match this, or is this the right pink? That color, that hole in it is going to allow you to sort of match colors and see how things are going to look together. So you are going to find the Pikahu color charts all linked on the page in our website. Karen may also have them linked in the follow-up email, but they're just Excel documents you're going to download. And then they all have the fold line, right? So this is called the big box, and this would be where I would advise putting everything by color family on the big box page if you're going to do, you know, inks, chalks. I even have glitters on here as well, right? So however detailed you want to get, and then the name on the side right here is going to tell you where that thing is stored, right? So if you want, and then if you want to keep things separately, there is a Pikahu box for each thing. So this one is designed for markers. This one with the big, thick black lines is designed for glitter glues, right? And the beauty of that is that you can see how that glitter glue is going to look on the light side and on the dark paper and on light paper. Now, one of the things that came to my attention when I was doing this was that sometimes the toner on your paper runs, different brands of toner will actually run into the glue, like it, I don't know, I guess runs is the right term, and it changes the color of the glue on the toner, just kind of so you have a heads up on that. I don't know what the different types of toners are, but I know that some of them run and some of them do not. So this is all just glitter glue, right? So if you want to do all my glitter glues on a certain page, this is this Pikahu download is the one to use for glitter glues. And then, so here's where I did the big boxes, and you can put anything in there. So this is washi tape, glittery washi tape, right? You can add anything you want to that color chart, whether it's a pen, a marker, an ink, a chalk, and it just gives you a place to label where that is. So whatever you've decided, wherever you've decided to store those particular things, you're going to be able to find them quickly and easily. Now, you can give your colors a number. A lot of them already have a number, right? So if you're looking at pens especially, I am now only buying pens that are clearly marked on the ends with what color they are, just because it's so much simpler to find things than, you know, I grew up with Zig. I have tons of them, but you have to like read the fine print on the marker to find out exactly what the color is on it. And it's a little bit more difficult. So something like the Spectrum Noir pens make it really easy to know exactly what the color is on those pens. And then you can mark the number right there as well. For things that don't have a number or a color, you can just give them a color or a number, right? So this is telling me that this glitter glue is in 6L number 1, row 1, It's right here. It's called Sun. I don't know if it's really called Sun. I just wrote that. I just gave it a name, Sun. And I wrote it on the bottle, right? So now I know if I want to use this glitter glue, it's this one, and I know exactly where to find it. Same process that we talked about last week about organizing dies. You're just going to do it on a much smaller scale. Now you can make bigger. I mean, this is just an Excel spreadsheet. If you want more color or you want to see more color, you can make bigger ones, but this just made it a super simple way. And no matter what color it is or what it is, I'm going to just put an example of it here, and then I'm going to be able to find it wherever it's stored. So if these were stored in a buddy bag instead of on the 6L right here, it would say buddy bag number 1, right? Tim Holtz inks, they're all right here in this buddy. And this is a Edna bag, so Merle or Edna is going to work great for Tim Holtz. I added the names to them just using my label maker because, again, they're not easily labeled. And then this is another Excel spreadsheet. It's also available on a download that fits in this bag. So you can write the names, and you can also make an example of the color there as well. So how you're going to store your, whether it's inks or pens or chalks or whatever it is, putting them in that container first is really important, because when I'm creating this with all my color examples on it of green ink, but I'm going to store it in this bag, I may also want to do that at the same time. So if I'm wanting to see the colors using this type of grid as well, again, I just used my little square punch so I could pull this out and match colors. But now they're all labeled and ready to go. The one mistake that I made with this is that if you like to store your inks upside down, I labeled mine right side up. But if I was going to do it again, in hindsight, I would put the labels on upside down. And then when I stored them upside down, the labels would actually be right side up. So think about those things in terms of how you're storing different things and different products and what the manufacturer's recommendations are, because different manufacturers have different recommendations about how to store and what to store. One of the questions I regularly get is about stickles. If you like to store your stickles upside down, I don't store mine upside down. The reason people like to store them upside down is because the air goes to the end, which is not always true. But once you use it, even if it's upside down and you release it, now the tip is full of air again. So you still have to tip it upside down and shake it to get the stuff to the end. So you can store them upside down in something like this, right? This takes up a lot of space, though. It has a lid. I guess I shouldn't be talking about these. I don't even know if they still make these. This was the first thing that I used to store my stickles, but it did allow you to store it upside down. I just never really realized the benefit of that. So I did also store the second tray. I turned it the other way, and then I was able to kind of store double in one container. But the same thing, I've got a number there. I'm going to number the stickles. That's how I'm going to find it if I'm using something like this. So just like when we talked about organizing die stamps, the container doesn't matter. You're going to give it a number or some way to find it, and then you're going to indicate on your color catalog where that thing is, either what the color is or what the number is, if it's got a manufacturer number. It would be nice if all the manufacturers put big numbers on everything or gave everything a nice name so we didn't have to make it up, but that isn't exactly how it works, right? We don't always get exactly what we want. So again, this one, same thing. If you want to poke a hole in it, and I just used a regular hole punch on this one, then you can see and match. So one of the important things about actually using all your markers or all your paints or whatever it is that the color they look in the bottle, especially markers, and a lot of times glitter glues as well, the color they look like in the bottle or in the pen cap is not always the same as how they actually look when you color with them. So it gives you an opportunity to do that. It also gives you an opportunity to find out which of your things, that's paint. That is not a good sound for paint, right? Which of your things are dried up and unusable anymore, and why are you still carting those around? So here's a glitter glue that's completely dried up on the inside, bottle of paint that's completely dried up on the inside. The glitter glue probably got used at some point, but the paint is still factory sealed, right? So this gives you an opportunity. How does that marker work? Is the nib gone on it? You know, did your kids get a hold of your markers and now that nice sharp point is no longer nice and sharp anymore, so you're not going to use it anyway. So just like when we talked about with dyes, this is an opportunity for you to go through each of the things, the products that you have, and actually use them. Make sure your ink pads aren't dried out, your markers aren't dried out, or the nibs aren't destroyed, right? And then as far as actually choosing your organization tools for them, there are so many different choices. I've covered up my thing here. There are so many different choices out there, and it's just going to depend wholly on your room, your space, and how you travel with your supplies, right? So you might want to use something like if you travel all the time or you need to put things away, maybe you're going to decide to group all your markers together by color group. So these are all blue and green. I'm going to mark this bag, blue and green marker bag or whatever it's going to be labeled, and then put those representations of the colors on there, right? So it's the same process that we've used before. You can use, so here's where I got neat and tidy. I was like, oh, I'm going to do catalog pages that are neat and tidy. And so this one I was working just with inks, right? So I lined it out. You can do that as well if you don't want to use these. But these make it so simple. All you have to do is print them and fill them in, and then they fit 8.5 by 11 as well. We had one other customer who sent in her little example here. She wanted to be able to travel easily with her color code, so she put everything onto index cards into just a small box that she could travel with. So if she was at a scrapbook show or a scrapbook event, she had all her color catalog right there in one nice, neat little tidy box. So there's tons of different ways that you can do it. 8.5 by 11, 12 by 12, or something small and very portable like this. Again, depending on how you craft and what your needs are for moving that catalog around. All right. So the other thing, if you don't have, or if you do, I've lost my, if you want to put things together by manufacturer, whether you like to shop by manufacturer or maybe you are on a design team or want to be on a design team and you have to keep track of everything that you use and what the brands are or whatever. So this is a great way to do that as well. So, but you want to keep that in mind. I'm doing my manufacturer list at the same time as I'm doing my general color list, so you don't have to do them twice, creating those catalogs separately by manufacturer as well. PQ, we talked about that already. One thing that I'm not sure if you're aware of, and I think Karen put a link up to this, on our website, there's a option when you go to the shopping page, there's 3 options. The first one is shop by type of thing you want to organize. And if you click on that, then it brings you to a page that says, I want to organize and list, baker's twine, stamps, dies, punches, inks, whatever. And as you click into each one of those, it will show you different products in use with different things. So if you're looking for a particular way to organize Memento inks, when you click on Memento inks, you're going to see every tool that we make that will help you organize your Memento inks. So if you're kind of struggling for, what's the best tool, that's going to show you everything in our collection, at least, for that's Buddy Bags or Deskmate or FabFile or whatever it is. So we'll get a link. I'm pretty sure there's a link already to that on there. All right. So usually there's tons of questions for color. So if there are, Karen, now would be the time to bring them upstairs. If there's not, it means that you either completely understand what I'm talking about or you're totally confused. And you don't know. You don't even know where to start on that. So I'm ready to give you your assignment for the week if there aren't any questions. I was just sort of looking around to see if there's anything else that I need to talk about. I think that's it. So let's talk about this week's challenge. So the very first thing that you need to do is decide where you're going to store those things. Like how are you going to store those things, right? Where are they going to go in your space? How do you craft? Are you using your inks, chalks, pens, markers right now? Or are you just collecting them? So if you're not using them now, why not? Is it that you don't know what you have? And so once you create that color catalog, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to know what you have and use those things. Or are you not using them because you don't know where to find them? Or it's too much trouble to get to them. So these are all important questions that you want to ask yourself before you decide what tools am I going to use to organize my coloring agents, so that you can address all of those issues, all those concerns before you choose what you're going to do. So that's the first thing. What am I going to do? How am I going to store these? The next thing you're going to do is gather those all together and group them by brand or by things that are all about the same size. So stickles are generally the same size as re-inkers. So those are all going to fit in the same size or style of container. So size and brand, right? And type. So all your pearls, all your glitter glues, all your re-inkers by Close to My Heart, all your re-inkers by, I don't even know if those are the same size. One of the brands is a different size. I think it is Close to My Heart. All your re-inkers by Tim Holtz, whatever, so that you have things by brand, by size. And you know how many containers you need and what size of containers you're going to need for those. That's the next step. Then you're going to load them all into whatever containers you've chosen. And then you're going to start cataloging, and you're going to give them a number or a name and add that to your catalog sheet so that you know what number it is, what name you named it. Like I did named my own Sunshine, a little glitter glue there, and then where you're going to find that is going to be noted as well on the catalog sheet. You're going to create a second catalog for manufacturers if that's important to you. And for people who do Close to My Heart, Stampin' Up!, if you're a regular user of those things, I would really recommend that you do create that catalog, because if you're going to an event, you can take the catalog with you and know what colors you already own, and then you'll be able to buy things that complement rather than duplicate what you've already got. So your goal is to sort 3 containers of whatever it is, markers, chalks, inks, pens this week. You are going to sort 2 more inches of paper if you have not yet finished your paper, and or 1 more container of embellishments if you're still working on embellishments. You're going to post your progress. Don't forget to do that, because you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to win. And then last but not least, you're going to enjoy your reward, which is really an important part of the whole process, is taking advantage of that reward that you have assigned to yourself. So I guess that's it.
Can you speak to other hobby materials like fabrics, yarns, and threads, things like that?
Can I speak to other hobby materials like fabrics, yarns, and threads? Yes and no. I can. I think fabric, especially if you're a quilter, again, you're mostly working in the world of color, right? For fabric, unless you have it, unless you purchase something that's specific for a project. So this is one project, and I have all of that, all the paper, all the fabric, the pattern, anything special for that is going to be all grouped together with that. Same principle of keeping things together you use together. When you're just talking about your yarn stash or your fabric stash, I think it's really important to just keep it in color, in groups by color, because generally that is how you use it. So I shouldn't say that generally that's how you use it. If you're a quilter, that's definitely how you use it, right? You're choosing colors that go together, and you want to be able to see like what your different options are for those color groups. And I would say the same thing about yarn. Thread as well. Keeping it in a rainbow order so that you know what you have is really, really important. So whether you're using like something like this with all your thread in it, or you're using one of our buddy bags where you can see all the thread, it's all the same idea of keeping things together basically by color, unless it's a project, and then you want to keep all your things together for a project. So everything for a particular Afghan, all those yarns are going to be together, and then once you're done with it, then putting it together by color, I think, is a good way to go as well. I do have a couple of other little guys here I guess I could show you as well. This is the Denise Buddy Bag, and I don't have it fully loaded. I only have one section of it loaded here. But if you have a ton of markers, and this fits perfectly for Copic, Spectrum Noir, Colorista, any of them that are that length are going to fit perfectly in the Denise, and you're going to get dozens of them in there. I'm sure on the website it says how many you can fit, but like I said, I just have one container of it, or one section of the Denise. And the nice thing about something like Denise is you can store it flat, right? but when you're using it, you can stand it up and pull your markers in and out pretty easily. Everything else doesn't fall over. Close it up and put it back on your shelf. So that's a good option. If you are a color box or Stephanie Bernard junkie, this is the Gail Buddy bag, and you can get 12 of the Stephanie Bernard color box ink pads in the Gail Buddy bag. Again, I would recommend labeling the end, even if you just write the name of the color on the end, because it's so much easier than trying to sort through and find the color on the top. So, especially because you can't see the middle ones in there, right? So there's a lot of options for different types of inks, a lot of buddy bag options, which are lightweight, inexpensive, all that stuff. The other thing that I get asked about all the time are chameleon markers. So the chameleon markers are so long. This is the 1-inch Stamp Store and Go bag punch pack. And the chameleon markers fit perfectly in there. I only have 5 of them, but I'm going to say you could probably get 5, 10, 15, probably 18, maybe 20 in one of these. And then we do have the deeper bag, the 1.5. So if you wanted to double up and have two thicknesses of them. The nice thing about these bags, obviously, is that when you can pull them out and your markers are all right there, right? You can use them and put them right back and then put the bag away and you're good to go. And you can store it this way, which means you're keeping your markers flat as well. So there's that option as well. Any other questions, Max? All right, I think that's it. Last week, I was offered a challenge by a couple of sisters that were watching saying, hey, we need help organizing our actual tools, our physical, our punch, our crocodile, our scissors, our paper trimmers, those types of tools, hot glue guns, that kind of thing. And so I am working on a little program for that. So just wanted to let you know. It probably won't happen until obviously after this Get Organized Challenge wraps up. But it is on my list and I will probably get it done for you sometime in November. So I guess that's it. Everybody download your Pika Hue color charts and get busy, ladies, getting all those beautiful colors cataloged so that you can use them even more. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I look forward to talking with you again next Tuesday. Have a good one.